What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new, make sure you guys subscribe, and if you guys are not new, hello, happy Friday. So we're gonna start off with two things. First of all, I have a helper, as always. Second, ignore the sunburn on my forehead and my nose. I don't want to talk about it. There's nothing I can do, so let's just not address it and pretend it's not there. Regardless, you guys saw the title. We're switching it up this week just to give you guys a break for cleaning. I don't know if you guys love my cleaning content or if you hate it. So we're going to switch it up for the people who don't want to see my cleaning content. And we're going to do a video. I can't play right now, Tinky. I'm filming. Take your cow. We're going to do a video about the books that I have read from January to June. I'm filming this on July 2nd. My goal for books that I wanted to read this year, I wanted to read 20 total. I started it off at 15, and then I ended up increasing it to 20 at one point. Last year, I only read 4 total. And then for Christmas, I got a Kindle, and I was like, ignore her, I'm playing with her in the background. I got a Kindle, so that really helped push me to want to read more. Yeah, my goal is 20. We will talk about how many I'm at the end. Obviously, you'll know because I'm telling you about every book I read so far this year. So, let's just get into this. There's not time to waste. This thing is not going to stop. Can I film, please? Okay, so a lot of these books I read on my Kindle. Like, a lot of them. So, I'm going to start with... I'm just going to go in order. I'm going to go from book number 1 to the last book that I've read in order. I'm also going to give you guys my DNF books as well, because there are 3 of them. Not that they were bad, but we'll get into that. So, again, this is all in order from January till now. The first book I read was Priest by Sierra Simone. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I thought that the storyline was okay. I didn't hate the smut in it. Like, the smut was good. I'll give the smut a 5 out of 5. But the storyline's a 3 out of 5. And this is genuinely, I feel like, just a preference thing. I am not religious in any way whatsoever. And I felt like a lot of the book had so much religious talk in it. Mind you, I kind of did that to myself. I read a book called Priest. Like, I should have known. You know what I mean? So I'm personally, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. And that's not the book's fault. I'm 100% blaming myself because I felt like it was just a lot of religion, and in the end got kind of boring. Like, I was kind of over it, so like it needed to pick up quicker than it was. It was a very good read though, so if you guys don't mind religion speaking and you want a good smut book, Priest by Sierra Simone, really good book. It was good, and I definitely recommend reading it if you don't mind religion stuff. The second book I read, Tinky, I need my arm. The second book I read is Hunting Adeline. I read Haunting Adeline last year, and then I bought Hunting Adeline and then read this one. 4 out of 5 stars. And the only reason I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 is because of how graphic it was. And I kind of liked Haunting Adeline better than Hunting Adeline. I will say that the storyline very much was good though. Like, it was a very good read. And I am gonna say that Haunting and Hunting Adeline, the smut, go read the trigger warnings on that book. If you guys have not read smut before, I suggest not starting with it because it's very graphic, like very graphic, and they talk about some things in there, and if you are not over 18, please don't even listen to anything I'm about to say. But there's a lot of SA and the R word, and there was a lot of just sex, like a lot, and it's very detailed sex. So if you're into smut and you were very much so like what's the word I'm looking for? Why am I blanking right now? Whatever, regardless, 4 out of 5, and the only reason I'm giving it 4 out of 5 is because I liked the first book better. I liked the storyline of him hunting her better in that book than I did in the second book, if that makes any sense at all. But the storyline was really good. I loved the storyline of the second one. I kind of liked the storyline of the second book better than the first book, but I did like the read of the first better than the second. I don't even know if that makes sense. I can stop rambling though. The third book I read is Atomic Habits by James Clear. 5 out of 5. I have never read a self-help book before, and I highly suggest this book. It very much so changed my mindset on a lot in my life, and I highlighted on my Kindle, that was another Kindle read, I highlighted a lot of things in there that I wanted to remember for later because it was just that good. I've honestly even thought about buying the physical copy just so I could highlight and annotate in the physical copy, and I am not an annotator at all. Like, I don't like writing or highlighting. I don't like any of that in my books. Like, it makes me sad. I like them being pristine and pretty. The fact that I even want to annotate is crazy to me. I just threw her toy and she didn't even see me throw it. It's over there. Regardless, if you're trying to build habits or break habits or just improve your life in any way whatsoever, Atomic Habits is a very good read, and it was very knowledgeable, and it made me really sit down and think about my life. The one thing that I think I read that triggered me the most, or not triggered me, that's the wrong word. The one thing I read in that book that I think kind of has stuck with me the most, that I've genuinely kept thinking about, is, what did he say? He said something along the lines of like, when you're trying to make something happen or break a habit, speak as if the habit's already broken. So like, say you're a cigarette smoker and you're trying to get over smoking cigarettes. If someone asks you, oh, do you smoke? Don't say, yeah, I'm trying to quit, or I'm trying to quit. Just say, no, I don't. Because you don't anymore. You're trying to break the habit, so why would you talk about how you're trying to break the habit? You don't smoke. And I've used that technique in a lot of things in my life. Also, I've used the whole improving 1% every day is still an improvement, even if it's 1%. And he talks about that in there as well. But regardless, 5 out of 5 definitely made me think. And if you wanted to read something that was self-help, and you had things that you wanted to change in your life, I highly suggest that one. I need to talk quicker because this is ridiculous. The fourth book that I read this year was Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. 5 out of 5 stars. First book I read by her. I know that the second one just came out. I have not read it yet. 5 out of 5. I thought the storyline was really cute. I also kind of related to it because I've known Jordan since my boyfriend Jordan. I've known him since I was a child. So watching him fall in love with someone he's known since he was a kid that he didn't necessarily get along with was cute to me, because that's kind of how me and Jordan were growing up. We just bully each other. So like, that was really cute to me, and I think that's why that book resonated with me a lot. I also never wanted to put it down. I don't know if necessarily it's because I was really excited about my Kindle and I just wanted to keep reading on my Kindle, but it was a really good book and I think I read it in like 3 days. But yeah, 5 out of 5 for that one. The next book I read also on my Kindle was The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. 5 out of 5 stars. I did not predict the ending. It was the first Frida McFadden book I ever read, and I did not predict the ending at all, and then the plot twist in the epilogue threw me. I was mind blown. I sat there with my mouth gaping open for a second. So if you guys are into mystery or thriller or psychological thriller, anything like that, I highly suggest a Frida McFadden book, specifically The Housemaid. There are 3 books in the Housemaid series by her, so make sure you read The Housemaid first, but 5 out of 5, great book. It also got me back into reading mystery because I was stuck on like a smut romance vibe for a little bit, and that was the first mystery book I read in a while. The 6th book I read was The Housemaid's Secret by Frida McFadden. That's the 2nd book in the series. I gave that one a 5 out of 5 as well. I did prefer the first book more than the 2nd book. Can you give me your toy or not? Give it to me. I did prefer the first book over the 2nd book. I think that the 2nd book was really still very good, but I predicted the ending in that one. I predicted the twist, and I didn't do that with the first one. So the 2nd one was still, again, very good. Couldn't put it down. Great mystery read. You can't be squeaking, I'm filming. You play with your cow in my hand. So yeah, great book, 5 out of 5. Highly recommend that series. And then, after that, I read Twisted Lies by Anna Huang. Regardless, 5 out of 5 stars. It's my favorite romance series I've ever read, and I don't really read romance like that, or I didn't really even get into romance until like less than a year ago. So I've read all 4 of the books in the series. That's the 4th one. I read the other 3 in 2023 and I loved all of them. I think I gave all of them 5 out of 5. Possibly one of them was a 4 out of 5. I can't remember. I can put it on the screen right here. Regardless, you guys could also follow me on my Goodreads. I post everything I read there and every update. But yeah, so Twisted Lies, 5 out of 5. I thought the storyline was cute, and it definitely, I don't know, all 4 of them have characters that are kind of in each book, like they're intertwined characters in each book. This book was my 3rd favorite in the series in order. I don't even know if I gave you any valid information in there. Regardless, if you like romance books and you like some smut, or you like billionaire romances or enemies to lovers or brother's best friend, read the Twisted series because I recommend. The 8th book I read was The Teacher by Frida McFadden. I also read that one on my Kindle. I thought that one was good as well. It kind of was weird and made me uncomfortable because he was trying to sleep with a multiple students, and I think that's really gross. But the storyline was good, so like I recommend reading it, and there was a twist at the end of that one that I wasn't expecting as well. So I gave that one a 4 out of 5, but I only gave it a 4 out of 5 because of the pedo vibes. I couldn't do it. But it was still a very good book. The 9th book that I read Credence by Penelope Douglas. Now, I have some things to say about that book, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion. I did not like it. I did not like it at all. And I know everyone sits there and raves about it and says how good the smut is, and it's the best book I've ever read. No. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. And let me get into this for a second. I could understand how the storyline would be good, okay? I pushed through for the first 60% of it. Remember, I read it on my Kindle, so I'm going by percentage. I pushed through the first 60% of it, and I was like, okay, it's a good book, it's a good storyline, it's a good build-up, and I sat there for like 30% of the book and was like, at 30%, from 30 to 60%, I sat there and was like, when is something gonna happen? Like, the build-up just took too long, and I was getting so bored and so over it that I just wanted to put it away, but I couldn't do that. And then the real kicker is I got to like 75% of the book finished, and I was so over it. I was so over the book that I skimmed, like, I read just speech sentences, like just quotes from the book for the entire last 15% of it. Like, I was so over it, I just wanted to finish it and get it over with because I was so done. It also was really gross that she's kind of sleeping with her family. Like, why are we incesting? Granted, she's never met them and doesn't even know them, but it's still they're related, and she was sleeping with her uncle and her brothers. And I'm just like, her cousins, sorry. She was sleeping with her cousins and her uncle. Regardless, disgusting. The book was incesty. The smut was okay. It wasn't great, though. And everyone says that this book is super smutty, and I just so disagree. Maybe if I had read this before I read Haunting and Hunting Adeline, I would have a different opinion on the smut. But it just wasn't great. It wasn't a great book. It wasn't good. I didn't love it, and I will never read it again, and I'll never pick it up, and I'm so glad I got it on Kindle Unlimited and didn't buy it. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, comment down below how you felt about that book if you've read it, because now I'm curious other people's opinions. The next book I read was The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I definitely have the physical book of that, but I'm not going to pick it up and get it. Everyone's been recommending that recently too, and I think that's funny because I've already read it. Regardless, 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a very, very good storyline. It is a psychological murder mystery thriller situation. The storyline was very predictable, and I definitely guessed what was going to happen at the end way early in the book, but it was still such a good read, and I really, really enjoyed how she writes. So it was an easy read. It was fast. It picked up quickly, like there was always something happening to keep me interested. So 5 out of 5 for sure, regardless of the fact that it was predictable, but I honestly don't even care about that. And then, book number 11. This is when we started swooping into fantasy territory. I've never read a fantasy book. I've never wanted to read a fantasy book. But Book Talk got me, y'all. Book Talk got me. And I read A Court of Thorns and Roses. If you guys did not see my video where I read for 24 hours, this was the book I was reading in my 24-hour reading challenge video. I read this. I don't remember how much I said in that video, so I'm just going to recap. I bought that book and then the second book in the series. There are 5 so far. It took me an eternity because when you read fantasy for the first time, you're not really understanding the words that they're saying or like what they're talking about, and there's a lot of like character building and story building and world building that has to happen for you to really understand what's going on and what they're talking about, you know what I mean? So going into fantasy for the first time, I'm very grateful that I started with that book because it was easy enough to read. It was still hard for me to grasp, and it was taking me probably twice as long to read a page than it would normally. But there was not one point while I was reading that book where I was like, I don't want to read this anymore. So like I'm gonna give this book a 5 out of 5 for sure, because as a fantasy book and me not even thinking I liked fantasy and not really caring about fantasy and then reading it and loving it, for that reason alone it's getting a 5 out of 5. It was very much so a slow burn, but again, you have to build the storyline, you have to build the world, you have to like, I get that, which is why it's still getting 5 out of 5. And then after that, I tried to pick up A 7-Year Slip. Now, they're still posted in here. This is the second book that I read in my 24-hour reading video. I thought originally, no squeaking, I thought originally going into this video, when I filmed that one, that I would want a break from the fantasy and to like read something else. So, I started reading this and I got 116 pages into it and was so unbelievably bored. I was so bored. I think that the storyline is good and I could get into it. It just wasn't for me. And I am very much so a mood reader, and I really need to be in the mood for something before I read it. And after I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, the entire time all I could think about was picking up the second book. So I think that's where I went wrong. That being said, that was a do not finish. I will come back to it for sure. And it will probably be in the second half of the year for reads for me. The 12th book that I read was A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the second book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses ACOTAR series. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. This book, the storyline kept me intrigued the entire time. It took me like a month to read because it's so big, and this is the largest book I've read to date ever in my life, because again, I wasn't a reader until literally like 2 years ago, maybe. This book really did it for me. This book really did it for me. I read 100 pages of this book and then immediately went and bought the other 3 books in the series. The story building in this is fantastic. The love in this book is fantastic. The smut is like perfect amount where it's not too crazy. The fantasy was great. Literally, it's just such a good book, and I 5 out of 5. Definitely my favorite in the series so far. I'm not finished with the series. I'm gonna just be straight up right now. I'm not finished. Oh, chef's kiss. We're almost done, I promise. After that, I read The Housemaid is Watching. It's the 3rd book in the Housemaid series by Frida McFadden. It was released on Tuesday. I finished it on Thursday. Not this week, obviously, but it took me 2 days to finish with a full-time job. It was a very good read. It was a quick read. I thought it was good. I am going to give this one a 4 out of 5, though, because it was very predictable, and I just felt it wasn't as good as the first or the second one, and so it was kind of a letdown. Like, I was expecting more. But it's still a very good book, so if you've read the first 2, definitely read the 3rd one, but don't have your hopes high for it to match the first 2, if that makes any sense. And then, after I read that book, I tried to read Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I got to chapter 19 in this book and then was just kind of bored. I think this is a very good book, and I'm definitely going to come back to this soon. But I realized halfway through reading this that I wasn't really in the mood for romance in the moment, and again, I'm a mood reader. So I decided to put it away before I wasted my read and rushed through it and didn't enjoy it. So we're putting this one away for a little bit later down the road. And then after that book, I tried to read 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. This is the book that everyone said has made them cry. So I was like, oh, maybe I want to cry. Maybe that's what I need. Like, romance is fine, but maybe I need something that's gonna really bring on the waterworks, right? I got 75% done with that book, and then I was just like, I can't read this, dude. And I can't rate it because I haven't finished it. I'm only 75% done with it. I still haven't finished it. But I put it down for a reason. I think that the storyline is very good, and I really want to enjoy the end because that's what everyone is saying is the saddest, is the end and the most heart-wrenching. And again, I don't want to ruin the book because I'm not in the mood for it. So I put it down before I rushed and skipped pages like I did with Credence. What else was I going to say? I was going to add something to that, but I can't remember now. I'm still playing with this dog. Oh, the only thing that I know for a fact I'm not loving about 1,000 Boy Kisses is I don't love her writing style. She repeats the same thing like 700 times, and I get why she's doing it. It makes sense in the story, but it's so not for me. Like, I'm just like, I get it forever, always. I understand. Okay, got it. So that's that. And now we're at the book that I'm at now. I have read 13 books so far this year. Total, I've finished 13. My goal was 20, so I'm really proud of myself for that because that's literally insane. Could never be me. Currently, right now, I am reading A Court of Wings and Ruin. I decided that I need to finish this series before I pick anything else up because both times I've tried to read a different book, I've wanted to pick up the next book in the ACOTAR series. So I need to just not do that, and I need to just finish the series. So that's my plan right now, is I'm going to read the next 3 books, and then maybe we'll switch over to something else for a little bit. We'll go to some romance. Maybe I'll read Wild Love. Maybe I'll read 1,000 Boy Kisses. Maybe I'll read The 7-Year Slip. But for right now, we're going to stick to the ACOTAR series, finish it out, cry for like a week, and then come back to it. I am on page 244, and there's a lot of pages in this book. It's a very large book. It has 703 pages, so once I finish this, this will officially be the largest book I've ever read. But regardless, this series is kind of stealing my heart, like very much so stealing my heart. I will say fantasy, for sure, favorite. Out of love, romance, whatever, dark romance, Haunting and Hunting is there, and I would reread them. And I'm not a rereader. I'm not a rereader at all. But Haunting and Hunting, Adeline, I'd reread. And I'd 100%, I'm not even done with the series yet, but I already know I'd reread the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. Like, I already know I would reread it. But maybe after this series, we'll pick up more of her stuff. And maybe, like, the Throne of Glass series. Or Fourth Wing, or Crescent City, or something. I don't know. Regardless, suggest books down in the comments that you guys think I should read. I do also own all 4 of the Anna Huang books of, I don't know what the series is called, but The King of this series. I own all 4 of those, and I bought all 4 before I even read the first one because, like, I liked the Twisted series and it's the same author, so I bought all 4 of those that I still have to read. I bought an Emily Henry book. I own Butcher and Blackbird. I bought The Cruel Prince, which is a fantasy book. I have Icebreaker. But other than that, I need suggestions. So comment down below, maybe stuff that's trending or stuff you think I'd like based off of what I've read and how I rated things. So we're at 13 for the year. So far, the goal is 20, and I hope that this was entertaining. I hope maybe this gave you guys maybe a book suggestion for you guys to read. If it didn't, I hope that it at least was fun to listen to and hear other people's opinions. If you've read any of these books and feel differently from me about them, please let me know, because I like hearing other people's opinions on books that I've read and like how they felt reading it. But on that note, I feel like this dog is ridiculous. I need to go play with her. Thank you guys so much for watching this video all the way through. There will 100% be another one of this style for July through December, probably either at the end of December or beginning of January. We'll do a recap of everything I read in the year. So make sure you guys subscribe so you can look out for that. I know it's 6 months down the line, but still. And then we'll be back to cleaning next week. And on that note, I will see you guys in the next video. Love you. Close out the video. Close. Good girl.